Hello everyone. Welcome to the latest video interview from Undercurrent News. I'm Tom Seaman, the editorial director of Undercurrent. Today I'm talking with Tor Bjorklund Larsen, a senior advisor to Norges Fiskarlag, the Norwegian Fishermen's Association. Norges Fiskarlag is the MSC client for the Norwegian cod and haddock fisheries. The inshore portion of the fishery, which represents well over 50% of the catch, has lost its MSC approval last August. Earlier, I spoke with Morten Jensen of Norwegian processor Insula on the market implications stemming from the loss. Tor is going to give a sense of why this happened and also what is being done to get MSC approval back for the inshore portion of the fishery. So Tor, maybe you could start by giving a bit of an intro to yourself, how you got to where you are today, and then also on Norges Fiskarlag itself too. Over to you.
Yeah, hi, pleasure to be here. Well, so I'm working in the Norwegian Fishermen's Association, which is a joint interest organization for all Norwegian commercial fishing vessels and fishermen and vessel owners. So we basically organize everything from deckhands on large-scale trawlers to small independent boat owners in Norway and represent their interest in the Norwegian industry. Now, I'm in charge of working for the, I'm working with the sustainability efforts of the NFA, which is in charge of basically the whole portfolio of Norwegian MSC assessments. I actually, my background is from the University in Tromsø with fishery science, and fairly early on, I actually did a internship with the MSC back 15 years ago. So that's what kind of got me on this path to working with certification.
So you saw it from the other side.
I did.
Yeah.
So we have kind of a slightly different approach to some other areas when it comes to MSC assessments, where we certify the entire national fisheries on behalf of the whole national fleet. So it's fairly large scale the way we approach these assessments, and that kind of gives in my opinion a high degree of credibility as well to the results that come out of it.
How just out of interest, how many members does Norges Fiskarlag have, the association have?
So we organize at the moment around 2,500 vessels in the Norwegian fleet. But I would have to double check the exact numbers to be sure.
Right, and what is is it up to sort of 20? Is it up to 20 odd meters? Is that the largest that's classified under this kind of inshore category?
Well, if you're talking about, we also represent the offshore fleet.
Oh, okay.
So but inshore and offshore. So everything from very small one-man boats up to large ocean-going trawlers.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, it'd be good to kind of get right to the point, really, and maybe for you to give a bit of an explanation as to why the inshore portion of the cod and haddock fishery has lost its MSC approval.
Yeah. Well, so it's a complex issue and a quite long-lasting issue. Norway has a lot of cod. Biggest cod stock in the world, which is known as the Northeast Arctic cod or the Barents Sea cod. Now, the cod that we fish on the northern Norwegian coast, that is also divided into subcomponents. One of which is called the coastal cod, which again is divided into, well, as of today, 3 subcomponents of that again. So we pretty much have a high definition approach to the management of the cod that swims in our waters. Now, the unfortunate thing is that coastal cod has by ICES, for quite some time, actually more than 20 years, been regarded as below the desired reference point. So that there's been a recommendation to rebuild the stock, and that is the best available science that we have had to relate to. And as I indicated, this is nothing new, but and this was an issue when we first MSC certified our cod and haddock fisheries in 2010, 2011, and also a reassessment in 2015. Then we de facto at least had conditions to rebuild the coastal cod stocks to higher levels within the certificate timeframe. Now, since well, basically since 2003, but also since 2000, definitely since 2011, we've had we've had a lot of regulatory measures to protect the coastal cod in Norwegian waters. But unfortunately, that has not given tangible results in the scientific service. So we at least haven't been able to see the results of that on paper, although the coastal cod catches have been pretty stable. So when we went into our third reassessment for the cod and haddock fisheries, we basically hadn't fulfilled our obligations to achieve this. So it was something we saw coming a long way, although we've done our very best to steer clear of it. When we recertified these fisheries, we saw pretty early on that the inshore component, just like in 2010, would have issues going through the MSC assessment process. So that process was paused, basically dividing the fishery inside and outside 12 nautical miles to avoid the coastal cod component and to at least have a MSC certificate for the offshore catches of cod and haddock at the time being. So that has been, as you said, that has been into effect since August of last year, and this is now our first big winter season without the MSC certificate for the inshore cod.
And so what's the kind of industry feeling over the loss? The sentiment from your members. I mean, obviously some of the members still have it, so I guess they're looking in great shape for this year. But what's the feeling from the up to 12-mile sector, which has lost the MSC approval?
Well, it's hard to project everyone's feelings, but it has gotten a lot of attention, and I think that there are a lot of fishermen who think that this is unfair. This is a fishery that we're extremely proud of in Norway, and we're very proud of the sustainability merits of it. We've been, it's been a commercial fishery for over 1,000 years, and we intend to keep it that way. And I think culturally, most people see this coastal winter fishery in Norway as basically the most sustainable thing we have in this country. But in terms of the merits and the rules of the MSC certification system, I'll have to add that it's not necessarily technically unfair, because these were the conditions we signed up to. So right. we have to deal with it. But some level of unfairness by many, I think, and also maybe even some embarrassment, because as I said, this is a fishery we're very proud of, and very proud to show to the world. And well, we still are, but we'd like to have the MSC certificate back to support that proudness.
Well, yeah, it's a sort of iconic fishery, isn't it? Really. Yeah, and so maybe then you can tell us a bit about what what Norges Fiskelag and the Norwegian industry more broadly are doing to get the fishery recertified, and then. Yeah, are there significant changes which have to be made? What's the kind of the process you're going through to get it recertified?
Well, in terms of kind of on the water changes, those have been going on for quite some time. But there seems to be, there's a question here if this is a scientific problem or a management problem or a problem of simply overfishing. And at least we in the NFA we tend to have pretty good reason to think that it may be the two former mainly, because we've had a very stable stock of coastal cod for a long time, although it on paper has been overfished, and it has not responded as it should. It should have been almost extinct quite some time ago. And we also have reference points, or basically the levels you want to rebuild the stock to, that are, if you compare it to all the other cod stocks of the world, those goals in terms of density of fish per square kilometer are at 2 times to actually 27 times of those goals that are density goals that are for all other cod stocks. So it's,
the bar is set quite high.
The bar is set extremely high, actually, twice as high as number 2.
Right.
So we think that there's good reason to think that the map and the terrain does not exactly match, but we have to relate to what is the best available science, and that is the current ICES advice, and that is now being we have been a strong driver to have the science revised and the management revised for this cod stock, because this has to be drawn up again, and there has been now for some time a ongoing revision in the ICES system and within the Institute of Marine Research to reassess this stock. So that is a process that is ongoing, and that is left to the scientific community, and right now we're waiting for the results of that to see if that's really that may significantly change the outlook to reassess this fishery.
Right. So is the recertification dependent on the result of this, or is there other measures you're taking in terms of further division of the stocks, or what other things are happening?
Yeah, they're fully dependent on that. We actually have, for the inshore cod and haddock, we have an ongoing reassessment. So that's we've already started that, yep. Not really knowing the end result. And that process is basically on pause right now. It has hit so it's basically just waiting for more information to come out of the Institute of Marine Research and from ICES. So that. And at this point, we don't know exactly what that brings, but it indications in my view at least speak towards the scientific uncertainty at this moment is in a positive direction, not in a negative direction.
Right. Okay. So in terms of the timeline to get it recertified, it's extremely unclear, because it's effectively dependent on the result of this scientific investigation into the models they're using. Would that be the right way to term it?
I think that's precise. Yeah. Now, in terms of timeline, although we can't foresee the exact outcome, we do have a timeline, because IMR has indicated that they wish to give new advice on the revised model in June of this year. So that if that basically draws up a significantly different map, I think we are still we're still in position to have a MSC certificate by the 2023 winter season, so by next season. So that's still the goal that we're aiming towards and hoping to reach.
So back to your point earlier about the fact that you said it was between 2 and 27 times higher, the bar. Is that of other cod fisheries which are MSC certified in other parts of the world, or just
Oh yeah, several of them. So there's in that we did a comparative study using density models, yeah, to assess the different stocks, and so that, just from memory, that includes the Icelandic stocks that are certified. Right. I think that was actually the second densest stock. It also includes our own Northeast Arctic cod, yeah, which was, I think, at the 5 times level of the expected density. So yeah, it's the bar is set pretty high.
Huh. And is that from ICES, or is that Norway's Marine Research Institute that's kind of responsible for that bar, or how does it work on that front?
Well, that is from ICES, but of course with the Institute of Marine Research being probably the major contributor to the data for that.
Right. Okay. So June will be a key kind of date in this process then.
Yeah, we're pretty anxious to see the results of the ongoing process, and we hope that it in at least, probably with still some conditions. I don't think that the coastal cod issue will be completely out of the world, but yeah, we're hoping for conditional reassessment at least of the cod by next winter season.
So yeah, the aim would be it's recertified, but with some things to improve, conditions to improve.
Well, yeah, that seems likely at least.
To be fair, yeah, I mean, do you have a message, sort of message to convey to segments of the market which might make the assumption that the fishery is no longer sustainable without MSC approval? Be interesting to kind of get a message from you to those that might see it that way.
Well, it's quite a few points actually. One thing that's important to keep in mind here is that there is at least the MSC certificate is not active at the moment, so we just have to accept that. But it's important to keep in mind that there is no negative change in the fishing practice or the stock for that matter. It's rather if anything positive. So if you felt good about buying cod for the last 20 years, then you can feel good about buying it this year as well. So also there is I talked about the feeling at least of unfairness. There is an element of slight degree of punishment here perhaps for the granular or high definition approach that our science and management system has to the cod stock, because for many other fish stocks this would have been one big sustainable stock of fish.
Because the stock is so divided down into kind of subsections. It's the more any natural phenomena, the closer you analyze it, the easier it will be to find a problem always. So and it's important, the uncertainty that is now in the science is, in my view at least, points in a positive direction, not in a neutral or negative. And it's also for the markets, it's important to keep in mind that although the MSC certificate is not active at the moment, there are many other sustainability parameters to buying from this seasonal small scale fishery, which is social parameters and even carbon footprint, which is quite favorable for this fishery. And finally, if you stop buying cod this season, that's your prerogative, but it will not incentivize a quicker recovery of the MSC certificate, at least, because that effort is at 100% at the moment, and we're fully committed to reinstating that as soon as possible, and we think it will be quite soon. And it also sounds like, from speaking to Morten from Insula, that the processing companies here, obviously the way the fish enters the market, see it from very much the point of view, well, it's our responsibility to keep buying and find markets for the product, is the sort of view being taken. So yeah, it sounds like everyone sees it that way in the Norwegian sector on the processing side too. So yeah, well, do you have anything more to add on this issue, Tor? Do you feel like you've covered everything there, or is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, you can keep adding for hours. Of course, this is a big and complex subject.
Yeah, extremely.
But I think it's a good start, at least, what we've just discussed.
Yeah, you've summed it up excellently, and I thank you very much for your time. So yeah, Tor, thank you very much. Have a great day. Goodbye.
You too. Thank you.